Good morning. Well, you see the famous landmark, Golden Gate Bridge, which was dedicated the day I was born, May 27, 1937. And it was only open for walking traffic, and possibly there's some black and white photos of the people walking across the bridge toward the Marin side, I believe, and just packed with people. And in the air you see little specks in the air, and it may have been one of these guys or something similar that the Army was flying around in. And these are the Army colors, Army Air Corps, before the Air Force was organized. And this was called Crissy Field, and these were hangars down here, and there were several of them. Some of them have been torn down. It looks like they're kind of getting ready to tear down the rest of them. And down here is the warming shack, so people now walk along here where Crissy Field was and enjoy the walk along the bay. That's Alcatraz off in the distance. And the grass, I guess they don't cut the grass anymore. You can see from this angle, you just think this is a monoplane, but in fact it's a biplane, and it's called the Jenny. I think it was the JN-4, and it was a trainer in the First World War. So here we go. If we can get through the grass. I don't know what the engine, I think it was the Liberty engine is what it was called. And hopefully we don't get hung up on a sprinkler head or something here. Here we go. And this, again, when I was first flying in the 60s and early 70s, this field was still active. No longer active. But that doesn't mean we can't take off from it. Okay, we almost got airspeed. And we got airspeed. So first of all, we're going to fly. No, not yet. We'll come back this way. So this is the walking path right here. People love to walk their dogs. And this is mostly cut green grass. You could have a picnic out here. And it's a large parking area right there. And then we come up on the St. Francis Yacht Club. The famous St. Francis Yacht Club is right there. And then they call this the village green along in here. I think in the old days they call this Cow Hollow. There's quite a bit of damage in there because of the built on maybe it was a marshy area. It was definitely pasture. So we come on down here. This is Fort Mason, right in here. And we'll come down to the piers. We could move the sun. We'll move the sun to a little bit later in the day so we don't have that in our faces. And then the Maritime Academy right there. And then Ghirardelli. This is the old Jeremiah O'Brien, that was a Liberty ship. There's a sister ship. It's called the Eureka. I belong to a yacht club up in Antioch, and we had the sister ship to that. It was called the Sausalito. There's Pier 39, and then down here will be Pier 27, and that's where the America's Cup was staged out of here. This was the finish line was right here. And this is Mount Coit Tower. That's Coit Tower right there. Oop. We can go up there to see Coit Tower. And then we'll go down to the ferry building and around to the ballpark. I'm kind of bobbling up and down. What we'll do is we'll bring the power back, and we can get out and away so we don't jump up and down. And there's the ferry building. And we'll run around to Pac Bell Park. They probably call it something else today. That's the Bay Bridge right there. Yeah, Oracle Park. Right there. I set it up so we got these cheater locations. They tip you off as to what you're looking. There's Mount Sutro Tower down there. Used to worry about television signals. So here's Pac Bell Park. This is called McCovey Cove because McCovey used to hit it out there, and people sit down in there in their kayaks and all sorts of various things, and wait for the ball to come over the fence. And down that way was Hunters Point, where they had the shipyards, and I think it was Teddy Roosevelt liked coming to San Francisco, and he maintained the Great White Fleet here. The Navy yards were there. One of the first Navy yards was up by Carquinez and Vallejo. Mare Island, I think is called up there. We aren't going to go up there, but we'll go back along here. Out here is Treasure Island. We used to go out there on Fridays, cocktail hours, at Navy base. You'd go to the officers club and you'd buy one, get one free. We'd drink martinis. I probably could handle a half a martini. I don't know that I could even handle a half a martini. And we'd have two and we'd play liar's dice. We had more fun. I don't know the downtown San Francisco that well. And they've got condos and so forth. This could be condos here. One of these buildings is leaning a little bit. There's famous Transamerica building. Bank of America has one of these buildings down here. And then again, here's Mount Sutro. There's Russian Hill right over in there. And we look down here. we might see don't quite, but anyway, there's Pier 27. Again, that's where America's Cup and Oracle had theirs. And then Pier 39. That's famous. Here's a ferry. Ferry pulls in right there. That was a drop off, and they had rails back in the old days where they brought rail cars across the bay. Probably brought a lot of lumber from up north, across from Sausalito and San Rafael. And we'll look back at the shoreline. Oh, this is the Balcutha. Jonathan Winters had a time. I guess he was up in the rigging. They had to
climb and maintain 9,800 feet. FedEx tree 824.
They had to subdue him for a little bit.
FedEx tree 824 climb and maintain 16,000 feet.
Yeah, now we can see Mount Sutro Tower.
Climb and maintain 16,000
there.
feet. FedEx tree 824.
And then we don't have to have that
FedEx tree
talking.
824, you are 12 miles northeast. Descend and maintain 5,000 feet. Expect ILS runway, tree 0 approach via PARBB transition. Cleared to PARBB. FedEx tree 824 descend and maintain 4,500 feet.
So we don't have to listen to all that. And then there goes the Golden Gate Bridge. They at the 75th year, they closed the bridge on a Sunday, 2 days before the birthday. The 27th, I believe, was on a Tuesday. But they closed it on a Sunday, and the people packing the bridge actually caused it to sag, and some of the cables were just very slack because they flattened the bridge out. When they stretched this down, these tended to have slack in them. So they won't do that again. They don't want to knock the bridge down. And then we got Angel Island here. We used to go out there for a barbecue. My friend had a boat out of Sausalito, and then toward the end he kept the boat over here in Tiburon. This is Tiburon here. And then I always have trouble remembering what this little island is. They have a couple of yacht clubs. They have the San Francisco Yacht Club, and Corinthian, I believe, is the other yacht club. This is this little seaplane facility over here. This is all Sausalito, downtown Sausalito, right along in here. And they have some houseboats along in there. That's Mount Tamalpais. Oh yeah, Commodore Center. Commodore, and you could get your float plane license or seaplane rating. Yeah, that's Belvedere Island. What that's called, Belvedere Island. And we'll see and actually during the Cold War, this was a Nike facility out here. Nike was a missile, a surface-to-air missile, one of the early ones. And then they have a little ferry boat that goes out of Tiburon, right out of the harbor here. The San Francisco Yacht Club is right there in that corner. So you come in here, and for some reason they're still working on getting the seas to lower, so the mooring, the slips aren't underwater. They used to be more underwater than that. So you just run in, tie up, and then we used to go uphill right in here. It'd be a little cooler in the trees, barbecue, whatever you want to do. This is all for barbecuing, right down in there. And we're going to head on up to San Rafael. We'll look up here. The Richmond Bridge, actually you see parts of it, and again they have trouble, unless they've handcrafted, they have trouble with the satellite representing the bridge. And when you go over, San Quentin is right there. We'll look back and we'll see Alcatraz is right there. I don't know whether I mentioned Alcatraz, but and then there's Alameda Airport, and then Oakland is maybe the next down. So Alameda is closed. That was Navy. This is all Oakland and Berkeley. Coming up here is Richmond. They have Rosie the Riveter Memorial Museum in here. That's where they built the Liberty ships. Right in there, we saw the Jeremiah O'Brien tied up. They got to be building. I think they built one in one day. So this is where Robin Williams lived, right down here. I forget the name of this subdivision. And then we have to find, and I believe we're landing right over in here. So we'll bring up the chart, and it's a field that's no longer open. And I think it was called Smith Ranch. And it's no longer open. This would be Larkspur right in here, and then on up we run into San Rafael. I believe this is maybe San Rafael right in there. And on up that'd be Napa up in there. And Carquinez Straits, this is where the Sacramento River comes down into San Pablo Bay, is up here. We're going out of San Francisco Bay. And so up here in the Carquinez Strait was Mare Island, which was the first shipyard on the west coast. Now I may have that a little wrong, but it was an early shipyard on the west coast. Noss Field was where a Piper dealer was. That's a little further north than where we're going. And I'm right here, so we'll get this in a little closer so we see where we're going. And we'll find the little Smith Field. I landed on it once before they closed it down. And now they have a retirement, real fancy upscale retirement home there. And this is again the San Quentin. The prison is right out there on the end. And in here the ferry comes in. And you still have ferries running, not like the old ferries where you couldn't tell whether it was coming or going. It never turned around. It just went. It went in one direction, backwards and forwards. Now we're looking down at the Richmond San Rafael Bridge. We should get a better look at that. Going over to Richmond. And I was talking yesterday about building my flight time back in the 60s, and one of the flights that we took were rent a 4-place airplane. We'd all chip in, so I'd end up getting help on building my hours. So we're getting close. This is interesting in here where we look up at Tamalpais, and the road actually I think goes around the left side over to Stinson Beach. This is Highway 101 going right along there. And we're almost there. Oh, we see if the Frank Lloyd Wright, he designed the Marin County office building, the county offices for Marin. And it was just over this ridge here. Might as well see if we can see his artwork. So what are we doing? We're doing almost 80 miles, or 80 knots. They're knots. We look back and we can see Mount Diablo. And when I went up to the Delta, about up in there. 1,000 miles of waterways. So we'll take a little power off so we can go through the pass and see if we see the county offices of Marin. I think I see it, this blue color. That I think the roof might have been a blue tile. Yeah, it doesn't give it justice. They do probably have quartz in there, but anyway, that was designed by Frank Lloyd. You can look up. I'm sure there's pictures of it that look a lot better than that. Looks like Mel's Drive-In. Okay, we're getting close to the field here. Better get around behind here and see where we are. Maybe just around this corner here. Let's make sure we don't miss it. Right alongside. Yeah, right up this little draw here, maybe. I don't see any place there. Let's look here, right in front of us. I think it went right back in there. Maybe we can land in the parking lot. We land right on the golf course here. Looks like that might have been an old road, but let's land on the golf course because that's probably we'll stop faster. Yeah, there, that's the runway. Let's go around and add power. We'll come right back around and land right there. And we won't have to scare any of the golfers. And again, there's San Pablo Bay. Across there is Napa, Sonoma. Look out! Yeah, there's the runway. And didn't know there was a golf course out here. And we'll come on around. We can get rid of this. It's a little touchy. A little touchy. It sounds like it's going to quit at any minute. Runway 22. I don't know whether I have enough speed to flare out. There we go. Stay on the runway. Got some fuel here. I don't think this thing burns hardly any fuel.